Welcome to the Gory Details Horror Show. We are your hosts, Casey Pletcher and Erik Duarte.
Thank you for that very dramatic intro, Erik.
What can I say? I do it for the children.
No, you don't. What children?
The ghouls.
The ghouls.
Yes, boys.
The boys and ghouls out there. Well, welcome to our podcast. Today we're going to be getting to some really cool stuff. I know that last week, if you tuned in, or if you're not listening in the weekly secession, which you should be, because you should be subscribed to the Gory Details, the last episode was part 1 of the Vampire Month.
The vampire
special 2-part series. Last week we went over more serious, more dramatic kind of vampire movies. Darker. Yeah. So shadowier. Figures in the shadows.
That's hard to say. That's a mouthful.
Shadowier. All right, everyone at home together. Shadowier. Anyway,
was
so
that a German?
Yeah, that is Shadowier. Did you see that video online of people saying different things in different languages, like different words, and it's just like really soft in most languages, and then like German, it's like it's like
Frostbleiden,
like pencil, pencil, blah blah, whatever the fucking German is.
Whatever it was, right?
Okay, so anyway.
Yep.
So we're going to be going over that. We're going to get into the show breakdown in a minute. But first of all, we have some warnings. Of course, there are going to be spoilers. Duh. Anyway, a warning. Listening to this podcast may lead to you waking up in the middle of the night screaming, covered in your own sweat and maybe your own urine.
Listening to this podcast may summon creatures from another dimension.
Are they going to enter through the closet like they do in my
closet?
They could. In my closet.
It could be your closet.
Could be.
I mean, it could
Maybe
be.
they're from another dimension. Maybe that would explain a lot.
Maybe it would.
All right, so listening to this podcast may cause Nickelback to get stuck in your head for all eternity.
Stop it.
Oh, yes.
No.
Look at that photograph.
Oh, man.
Forever.
What a Polaroid that is,
oh, man.
Pal.
Have you seen that one meme where it's like they take the look at this photograph thing, and instead of photograph, he's holding up, they superimpose a graph, and it's like, look at this graph! And then he's just smiling.
Like a pie chart or something?
It's like in that part, he like smiles like this. He's
That's
like nodding his
hilarious.
head with his big smile, and it's just him holding up a graph.
We just dedicated easily 2 minutes of our podcast to Nickelback. They're winning right now.
Oh no,
they're laughing. No. Chad Kroeger, is that his name? Chad Kroeger.
I don't know. Why would I know that?
I don't know how. How did I know that? But whatever.
The people are going to be winning at the end of the episode when we drop some stellar corpses on their asses.
Uh-oh.
But we had another warning, didn't we?
You know what? We sure did. In fact, listening to our podcasts may cause legions in the darkest recesses of your body.
Ew. So like your anal cavities?
I mean,
your vaginal?
Hey.
Your penile?
Oh.
I don't know if that's the proper term. Penile.
Oh, I think
know there's
your
like the
nether regions. The nether. Anyway.
The Necronomicon.
Oh.
Anyway,
yes.
Let's get that out of us now.
Let's just get it out now. The people have to enjoy this show. We got
okay. All right. So before we move forward with everything, some quick business. Erik, I think you had some business for us.
You know what? I certainly do, Case. Listen, folks. First off, a huge thanks to everybody for listening in. For those who have really, waved our flag, so to speak, we appreciate you.
Have we printed flags yet?
We're not quite there yet, but
people can't burn our flag until we print it. It's
gradual.
Our flag.
What's that?
People can't burn our flag until we print it.
Very true.
Yes.
Are we advocating
burning our flag?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
All
You know
right.
what the funny thing is about burning the American flag?
What's that?
Is that if it touches the ground, I believe, and just generally as a disposal, if you have an old flag and you want to get rid of it, the proper way to dispose of your flag is burning it. Most people don't know that.
Repeat that last part again.
The proper way to dispose of your flag is burning it. So if you have like an old American flag and you get a new one and the other one's just beat up and torn up and shit, you're supposed to burn it.
You just blew my mind.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah. I mean, because we've done that before. My grandfather
That seems so inappropriate. Or
I don't know. My grandfather was in the military.
No.
He was in World War II, and he's the one who kind of taught me that.
Oh, is that right?
I would assume
Wow.
if that guy was killing Nazis,
Yeah.
then I'll listen to him about the American flag.
Yeah.
And even if I'm wrong,
Hey,
hey,
That's still a
watching
kick-ass
shit burn
story.
is fun. I think like a grenade blew up in his face or some shit. I think they said something about that story. I don't know.
what a story.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that would also explain a lot about my family's history with guns. Man, they love guns.
So
business.
yeah, back to business. You guys can follow us via Gmail at thegorydetails@gmail.
Nope.
What's that?
The Gory Details Horror Show at gmail.com. We almost fucked it up again.
Well, we did.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Well, you did.
I did.
I caught it.
You caught it.
Caught it.
You caught it. Yeah. So, the Gory Details Horror Show at gmail.com.
Yep.
You can also follow us at Twitter
At Gory Details HS. At Gory Details HS on the Twitter. And the Facebook. You can
Yes.
add us on the Facebook.
Add us. Add us today. Add us now. Add us later.
And don't forget, subscribe on the iTunes.
That's right.
Subscribe on the Stitcher.
Free of charge.
You can download Stitcher for free. It's a wonderful app.
Yep.
I'm not getting paid to say this, but I should. I listen to Welcome to Night Vale.
Yeah.
I listen to Joe Rogan, Fighter and the Kid, Duncan
Nice.
Trussell, Doug Stanhope.
Yes,
all
sir.
these people, all these great
Pioneers.
podcasts
Yeah.
are on Stitcher. You can listen to them on
Mark
this
Maron.
aggregate, right?
Yeah.
So it just has this fucking list.
Definitely.
And you can add us on there too.
You can do
we're
that.
on your list, and that's amazing.
It only takes a millisecond, Case.
Yep.
Right?
Also, you can subscribe to us on the YouTube. The only downside to the YouTube,
What's that?
is that sometimes it might take a day or two extra for us to upload to YouTube.
Okay.
We do have to render an entire video, and that just takes it's just a bitch. But we do it for you because we love you.
That's right.
And that's how much we love you.
That is how much we adore you.
Yes, we love you enough to render through Pro Tools and then make a video and then render the video and then upload the video. That's how much we love you.
That is exactly true.
I don't even think your girlfriend would do that for you.
I
I don't think she would. I don't think she would.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Come on.
Ask the listeners.
Hey, give me a second. Hey, yo, Leanne. Leanne. Hey, yo, Leanne. Is that true? That's true? Okay. Yeah, I guess it's true. All right. Sorry. Whatevs.
Anyway.
So,
Sponsorship, Patreon, Patreon, Patreon. Look us up. Give us $1.
Case.
Give us $5.
for the viewers, or I'm sorry, listeners out there who may not be familiar with what Patreon is, could you delve a little more there, pal?
Okay, so Patreon is awesome. It's kind of like Kickstarter, but instead of one time for a project, you basically subscribe to giving us a certain amount per month to keep the podcast going. So
Okay.
you can do as little as $1. You can do as much as $1,000, whatever you want to give us per month.
Your heart's desire.
But if you do give us $100 or more per month, we will give you a sponsorship slot.
Nice.
So that is up to a minute about your brand, your company,
Your
your
cause.
product,
Yep.
your cause. As long as it's not egregious and as long as it's something that we don't fundamentally disagree with for whatever reason.
Right.
For instance, Walmart. I don't know. I don't know if Walmart could ever be our sponsor. I don't think Walmart would ever want to be our sponsor. And I feel like they would lowball us. I feel like we'd get a better deal from Target.
I'm certain we would.
If there was ever a back and forth between Walmart and Target
I'd
for
go Target.
our podcast,
Come on.
I think Target would give us more money. I think
You
they
think
pay
so?
their employees more, period.
Yeah, that's true. That's
I'm fairly
very true.
certain. Their prices are a little higher, but you get better quality.
I'm a former Target employee.
Yeah, I guess this is me on record saying fuck Walmart. Fuck Walmart. Actually, I was working at Target too in the optical, but that's not Target. That was Luxottica.
Okay.
Anyway,
well, it's a branch of Target.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a separate company completely. It's just.
But it's
like a subcontractor.
Okay.
Anyway. So that was way off topic. Anyway, so that's. I think that concludes business.
Pretty much.
Let's do a quick show breakdown for you.
Let's do it.
So we are going to be discussing today. We're going to go a little bit into what we had last week. There's just like one more movie that I just wanted to quickly discuss.
Touch base, yeah.
Then some comparisons to other films that are not vampire movies, but are vampire genre oriented, thematically tied, if you will.
Right.
Like tied like a thematic bow.
Okay.
Yes. Anyway, and then speaking of which, we'll be getting into some vampire movie themes.
Yes, sir.
We know that you guys have been waiting for that because we were supposed to do that last week.
That's the
and we fucked up. It was also just because it was a long goddamn podcast, and we didn't want to go too much longer last week. This is gonna be a long one probably too.
Sure.
I'm calling it now. I know we're 12 minutes in, but I'm calling it.
Good call.
And then we are going to get into, as promised, the B-side.
Yep.
The cheesier, stickier. Just plain on more laugh-tastic and fun and lighthearted look at the vampire genre. Not getting as much into like kid movies or kid shows or anything, but just like lighter sides.
With a comical angle.
Right, with a comical not that what is that movie with Jim Carrey that was a vampire movie? It was a comedy. It was from like the 80s, I think. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
That was a movie. We're not talking about that one.
Okay. You've opened up a can of worms.
Just wanted to get into what we're not talking.
You just blew my mind. Now that's all I'm going to think about.
And we did reach out to you guys on social media about what movies you wanted us to discuss.
That's right.
And since no one got back to us, fuck you. We're going to discuss what we wanted to discuss.
Yes, sir.
How do you like them apples, bitches?
Okay.
Anyway. So we're going to get into, if we miss a couple here and there, I mean, we're trying to keep the podcast to a reasonable length. So,
sure.
We can discuss it with you on Facebook. We can go back and forth on Twitter. If you want to reach out to us, we can talk about these movies all day. But we're gonna keep it limited to a certain amount of movies and TV shows and one comic book that I particularly enjoy.
What's that?
Oh, American Vampire.
Oh,
you know
sweet.
that. You guys
sure
know
do.
that. You got to read it. It's good. Okay. So we are going to get started.
So we're going to be touching base on last week's topic just a bit before we make a segue into the lighter-hearted, more comic-friendly titles. In particular, we're going to be touching base on a film that really resonated with Casey. And Casey, if you want to go ahead and take it from here.
Yeah, so really quickly, we didn't discuss last week, and I completely forgot. A film called Byzantium, which is a wonderful movie. I believe it is an Irish horror film, even though I don't know if I don't think it takes place in Ireland. I'm sure it probably takes place in quick history lesson for the listeners at home. Byzantium was the original name of Constantinople, which became Istanbul, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So, yeah, Byzantium, I think it was Greek mythology that it was named.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, something like that. So, I don't know if it takes place in Istanbul. I don't remember. But it's been a little while since I watched it. It is on Netflix, so if you want to watch it, it's a good movie.
It out.
It's a solid, and it's funny because I actually looked at I broke it down because I was looking for it again, and I looked up in Netflix horror, and then I went to vampire movies, and it's not listed under vampire movies in horror.
What is it listed under?
I don't know. I think it's listed under like drama or something. It's actually not listed under horror, if I'm correct, which was weird.
I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's very, the focus is less on the horror element and more on the...
The thing is, it lends itself well to either genre.
Right.
Or, more of a thriller or even just a drama.
Right. And it kind of like, oh man, God, I should have looked up the name. There's that other movie that's also pretty recent. It came out within the last couple of years where the vampire is he like is a musician and he puts out records, but no one ever gets to meet him. And his he Skypes with his vampire wife or whatever, and she's across in the Middle East somewhere.
Oh, that sounds phenomenal.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I want to say it rings a bell, but
I mean, we could Google it.
yeah, we'll fact check.
Yeah, let's
We'll
fact
do a
check
facts
it.
check.
So we'll go ahead and look it up right now while talking about a bit about Byzantium, if Eric can find his phone for the fact check. But it's an interesting look at the genre. I guess a lot of the themes there with like sexuality. Her mother was like, or I don't. Was it her mother or was it just? God, it's been too long.
It's been a while.
She was a whore, and like there's the whole the girl falling in love and with this piano player and this like doomed relationship. And
Do you recall who was in that specifically? No.
Yeah, I don't think it was anyone like big. You know what I mean?
Vampire musician.
Oh wait, you're talking about the other movie.
Oh, I'm sorry. You started talking about it.
Yeah, if you look up like a list of like some of the best recent vampire movies, I'm sure it'll come up. There's this one actress, and I forgot what her name is. I think she was in Orlando. You know the what's her name? The author who I really hate. She wrote To the Light. Virginia Woolf.
Okay.
The Virginia Woolf book Orlando.
Okay.
I think it's the lead actress who played in that movie. The female actress, I believe, is in the vampire movie. I'm thinking.
All right. I'm trying to recall it a little more.
Which I'm just not a Virginia Woolf fan in general.
You're not.
No, she killed herself by like I think filling up her pockets with rocks and walking into a river.
Really?
And I don't know. I think it's probably for the best.
You know, talk about...
If I wrote books like her, I'd probably do that too.
Wow.
Oh, that's dark.
That's
dark. She's been dead for like 100 years. I mean, well, not 100 years.
So
but I mean,
does
like,
that make it okay?
I guess, yeah, I think it's been long enough.
So, really?
I think it's been long enough that I can crack jokes about her.
That's intense.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're supposed to be looking up that movie. What are you doing?
So that's why I was asking you. Actresses, because how am I going to reference? What am I going to reference?
I just told you what to reference. Anyway.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting with Byzantium that they have like the long fingernail and they poke in and that's how they suck. Which is almost like there's this one movie with Lucy Liu that she's a vampire and it's like the shittiest vampire ever. Like they don't really have super strength and they don't have sharp teeth, so they have to carry around little blades to cut people with.
Sure.
Because they don't have like the fangs or anything. So it's just like the shittiest vampire ever. They're like these weak, like non-fanged, like I guess they live forever, which is cool. But other than that,
wouldn't you consider
really
that
shit vampires?
Wouldn't you consider that to be like a more accurate depiction of what a vampire could be if it existed today?
I don't know.
Okay.
But so I wanted to get more into Byzantium. I should have watched it, and I apologize to everyone at home that I didn't watch it again. I started watching it the other night, and I just didn't. So
basically, to touch base with another topic lightly, as we're just pretty much letting go of the darker aspects of the subgenre, there are certain films that I feel really embody certain characteristics, traits of a film from the vampire subgenre.
like, well done.
Thank you. Sorry to the listeners at home. Excuse me.
You are making a lot of noise over there.
I'm obnoxious today. I'm just obnoxious. Excuse me.
Oh, here we go. Only Lovers Left Alive.
Ooh,
that's what it is. I told you it was the main actress from Orlando. I was right. Tilda Swinton.
Oh no, Tilda Swinton.
Swinton. And Tom Hiddleston is in there. I don't know.
Oh, the Thor.
Yeah, and God, here's that other one.
Loki.
Mia, I can't pronounce her last name.
W.
Wasikowska. is she the one who's gonna be in Crimson Peak?
Yep.
Ah,
Yeah, that's right.
she was in Alice in Wonderland.
Del Toro. He's releasing a new film.
Yeah, Crimson Peak, man. I
Oh,
am looking
man.
forward to that shit. I know we're going off topic a bit,
we're
but man,
going
that
off-
looks like
yeah.
looks like a good. And we'll get into Del Toro actually because we're going to be talking about The Strain, right?
That's correct.
A little bit
That's correct,
later.
yes.
And I know we kind of talked about it last episode, and this isn't like the B thing, but once we get into themes,
Yeah.
I think we're going to be talking about it a little bit.
Yeah. So,
All right. So you go ahead. Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to add to the film?
I mean, that was a really good movie. It was also like, I think I mentioned it last week about the vampires who have the crazy sister.
Okay.
Like that was one of those movies.
Yeah.
Like the sister shows up and she just fucks everything up.
Okay.
They always have that crazy like, oh, I'm live forever. I'm gonna have fun and party and be an immature little brat for a couple 100 years.
Yeah, because that's a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's what happens when you like turn like a 19-year-old into a vampire.
It's tough.
Yeah,
It's tough. Seriously. There aren't many depictions of that concept that end well. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean,
if not for like The Lost Boys, which we'll be talking about.
Yeah,
later
I mean,
as well.
like a lot of that whole like Twilight, where people
Sure.
get turned at a younger age, and then they keep trying to fuck high schoolers for like 300 years.
Right. Because that's the thing to do.
I mean, I guess if you think about it, if they're like a few hundred years old, like when they got turned, it was probably normal to fuck 16-year-olds.
I guess so.
So I guess that'd be okay.
I suppose.
But I don't know if they would evolve with the times.
Nah.
No.
More like devolve.
Devolve with the
Yeah.
times. Let's just keep going younger.
Yeah.
that's
younger.
fucked.
That is
fucked up.
I don't write this stuff, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
anyway. So, yeah, to touch base on some of these films that I feel really embody these traits and characteristics.
characters.
These
Right.
characteristics, you got certain films like Nightcrawler, that was 2014, with Jake Gyllenhaal. This was a
Jake
film,
Gyllenhaal.
the good, the great. So Jake Gyllenhaal.
He's one of those actors that, like, every once in a while, like, you forget that he's a good actor, and then he does a movie that he's really good in, and you're like, oh, yeah, he's a good actor.
But I feel like he's been more consistent with his work, you know, especially the
True.
roles
True.
that I feel that he approaches.
Like, Donnie Darko is still, like, one of the best.
Donnie Darko, End of Days. End of Watch.
Oh, okay.
End of
I was
Watch.
like, that's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You're like, Gyllenhaal wasn't even born then, okay?
He was born.
Well, he was born, but he
He's
was
older than me.
He was a little younger at the time, though. He wouldn't have been a good character. Anyway. So yeah, Gyllenhaal in this film is just, gosh, I don't know. He nails it. He really gets it. He plays creep to the 10th degree.
So tell me, because you wanted to discuss this one, tell me how his character relates to vampirism, and those characteristics.
Okay, for instance, the character is never seen in the film to eat a meal. Like, you'll never see him eating a meal. In fact,
do you normally see people eating meals in movies?
Typically in certain films, you'll see them either drinking or eating, you know, simply consuming something.
Does he sleep?
You don't see that he sleeps. You don't see that he eats. You don't really see that he functions outside of his role as a I guess a camera guy.
Right. Okay.
You know? So in that aspect, that's one where it's like, okay, you know, obviously vampires don't need to eat or drink. All right, to survive, they need blood.
Okay.
From like a human standpoint.
Right.
Anyway. So that's one. Another one is he's really the most active at night. Like vampires.
True.
You have other traits. He's very persuasive. You know, he'll talk to someone and no matter what the conditions are or what the situation is or the difficulty of a situation, he'll persuade you. He'll, you know.
Right.
He'll make you do it, basically.
Mesmerize.
He'll mesmerize. It's all in the eyes Allow me to mesmerize.
In the mesmer eyes.
Oh,
I thought that's where you were going with that.
I was getting there. If you would have let me finish, maybe I would have gotten there. You know. Anyway,
I guess
so back to it.
His detachment from humanity.
Exactly. That's well stated.
Yeah.
That's in a nutshell. That's pretty much it. So
I'm wondering if there's because there's definitely the voyeuristic element to the film, and I'm wondering if that somehow ties in. I know it ties into his lack of humanity.
Well,
being able to see things through a lens.
Very much
so.
Very much so. It's a lack of humanity, and above all, it's also a certain disregard for just everything that represents being human. You know, this is an individual that almost just has a hatred, you know, towards the human race.
I don't know about hatred. I'd say
so.
I'd say he has an indifference.
It's an indifference, but you can see the hatred in the passion, the hunger, because he's got a hunger to pretty much document, you know, these situations, these
But
scenes.
I don't think he has anything against them.
What do you mean?
I think he's more just a sociopath. Like he doesn't.
Oh,
he's just
absolutely.
a narcissist. He doesn't.
Well, of course.
You know, I don't think he actively hates the people that he's.
I would say revisit the film. You'll get a different feel because.
Yeah,
I don't think he was much
like
of a
he
narcissist.
Actively hates Bill Paxton.
Oh, his character. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But outside of that, and then maybe the woman, the
film itself was pretty much a highlight of their relationship. It's kind of intense now that you brought that up.
right.
But Renee Russo, you know, her character, you know, she just seems like a woman that's just strong and you know, she only pretty much goes by the toot of her own horn, so to speak, you know, and no one else's until she meets Gyllenhaal's character, and it's like she's dominated. You know what I mean? So once again, you know, very much like, you know, a vampire, Dracula and such. So those are the comparisons that I saw in that film there, Casey.
Right on. Okay, and I guess if we want to talk about like relentless sociopaths, we can get a little bit back into American Psycho.
Sure.
We discussed it a little bit last week.
Yeah.
Just some of the elements that they're actually very connected to Nightcrawler.
Okay.
You know, the very similar characters.
That's true. That's very true.
Complete sociopaths who are extremely narcissistic and have I guess just a weird relationship with humanity.
Definitely a relentless hunger, so to speak.
Right. Exactly. And I think I remember correctly too. Like Gyllenhaal's character had an anger problem.
Oh,
and that's and the same with, of course, Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. And
that's
just,
very true. They both had tempers.
Yeah, like the even like just the references to blood, like in the film, and I think also in the book, he has this line. I think, well, actually, I think it's a little worse in the book, but the whole like I want to stab you to death and play with your blood.
Yeah,
like, you know, the references to like blood itself, or like the intro sequence doesn't have the business card with the blood.
I believe so, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of, I guess beyond just the murder, there is like a lot of play.
A lot of play, but you know what? I feel like they're references, you know,
and just like with the themes of the horror, the vampire like subgenre. There's a lot of like sexuality infused.
Sure.
So he's a very sexual,
a heavy
creature.
use.
Very sexual creature, and he's a monster, and he like, I guess, almost sustains himself entirely off of that blood.
I would say so.
Actually, in the book, he even eats somebody's brains.
Is that right?
Yeah,
which wasn't documented in the film. Is that correct?
Right. So like, there's like a scene in the book where like he's cooking somebody's brains, and for like just a split second, he's like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
You know,
and then he's like,
I actually think I think that the director's intention was to include that in the film, but of course, you know, film distributors would have a hard time accepting that.
That was too much?
The eating the brains?
How is that too much?
Well, because it's eating brains.
So him like naked chasing somebody down with a chainsaw and dropping on her is okay, but like,
what?
Don't eat brains?
Who said that was okay?
It was in the movie. When he's like in his like white sneakers,
and
and he's running down the hallway naked with a chainsaw. Yeah.
Okay.
Like that was okay.
Well, sure.
I guess.
I see your point.
Yeah.
I see your point.
Anyway, so, and then he went on to become Batman.
Oh, what a transition. What a
like
transition.
A vampire bat.
Like a what?
That's my wings.
That was a good bat. Yeah. I was convinced for just a moment that you were a bat.
I am a bat.
You are a bat.
No. Anyway,
Okay.
so you wanted to discuss shame.
Yeah.
Not as like an overlying
just-
like life theme.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you sitting down? Are you relaxed? That's good. I'm glad. Let's discuss shame. And by shame, I don't mean shame. I mean Shame, the film by the one Steve McQueen, starring Michael Fassbender. You'll recognize him, Prometheus, I believe. What else? We're talking Inglourious Bastards, Hunger, another Steve McQueen, 12 Years a Slave. This gentleman is just, he's the it guy right now. The guy's hot. Anyway, so back to Shame.
Mm-hmm.
This is a film that highlights sexual addiction like no other film that you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And it does it in such a way that resembles the same, I guess, conflict that vampires deal with. Your Draculas and whatnot, your Angel, via Buffy.
Yeah, and it's it got like a NC-17.
Yeah.
So it's very, very sexual movie.
Yes, it is. And of course, should be noted that if you plan to watch or screen said film tonight, put the kiddies away. So, yeah, I think Michael Fassbender's interpretation of this character and just how he dealt with that sexual addiction, just like I mentioned, resembles that of a vampire. Their struggle. It's very, very uncanny, the comparison is. So in that regard, I feel that, that sense, that hunger, very similar to your Dracula, your vampire character, basically.
True. Okay, I can see that. So from there, let's go ahead and transition to, I guess, just underlying themes of the vampire subgenre. So there's 4 main themes I think we're going to hit on. I know mortality, ecstasy, which includes like sex, pleasure, pain, any form of ecstasy, disease/famine, and religion. I'd say those are 4 of the more popular themes, right?
More common.
Yeah.
Yeah, most certainly.
So let's start off with mortality. So the concept of living forever and dying alone.
Those are certain traits that you'll see in such films as The Lost Boys, Near Dark, even in the graphic novel American Vampires you mentioned earlier, Case.
Yeah, so in exploring that, and the funny thing is also we had discussed before the podcast, off air, that a lot of these themes have become more prevalent in pop culture than they actually are in a lot of the source material.
Correct.
So you'll see them now in a lot of like references in TV shows, books, stuff like that. But
definitely TV.
Yeah. So, but there's a long-standing thought of like, the curse of living forever, how they refer to it as being a curse. 'Cause like you just are forever, living to watch everyone you love die.
Which is, in other words, considered more of a type of torture. It's a type of torture.
Exactly. And then I guess like that's why there's a lot of what they call nests with vampires where they all kind of huddle together.
A support group of sorts.
Like a family. But I like they kind of explored a bit in American Vampire, the graphic novel, the series of graphic novels. This the main female character has, and I think I brought this up on the last podcast. She has a relationship with a human being, and she gets turned into a vampire, and she has this relationship, and over time she has to slowly like watch him get older, and stay the same age, and eventually he dies.
Wow.
But I think
That's heavy.
I think he was actually killed. I don't think he actually dies of natural. I don't remember. Whatever. The point is, she has to watch him age, and it's kind of bizarre because she doesn't get to age with him, and that's like a concept that I think a lot of people don't consider, is that not only are you watching other people age, but there might be kind of like a grace to aging alongside of the ones you love. You understand what I'm saying?
I follow. I think what I gather from that, at least, is that it's a constant state of misery. You don't have a place that you can really call home because you're never gonna die. You know,
Right.
I mean, basically, you know, you're outlasting, you know, species after
Cultures.
species after culture after race.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it is just
Numbers.
no, I wouldn't say numbers. The rest of it is pretty much, it contributes to said torture.
All right. And you look at, I mean, some popular movies that bring this up. We'll get more into Lost Boys later, but Lost Boys, once again, I know we've probably said this before, but sleep all day, party all night, never grow old.
That's it.
You know, that concept of, and they seem to enjoy it. They seem to be taking it in. They also
It's a
seem
love
like very
for life is what it is. A love for life.
yeah, and for death. But for
A love,
immortality.
no, literally a love for life. I'm speaking in a literal sense.
What do you mean?
Well, they have to feed, right? So they have
Okay.
a love for life.
But yeah, so and I think they're relatively young vampires too. They don't. I don't know.
Oh,
if
in the film?
In the
Yeah.
film, they don't.
Easily in their late teens to early 20s.
No, I don't mean their bodies. Like I don't mean like their biological age. I'm talking about their chronological age.
Right. You know, that's what I'm saying is basically they resemble that of a teenager, I suppose.
No, that's their biological age. I'm saying chronological age. They don't seem like they're like 300 or 400 years old. They seem like they're very,
I'm with you.
Like maybe 50, 60 years
Right,
old.
okay.
They don't seem,
Yeah.
especially the way they dress, the way they act.
I know what you mean.
It's almost greasery. I don't know. It feels kind of like
esque.
esque. I don't know. I mean, they obviously evolved with the times.
Sure.
But just the way that they
Represent themselves.
Represent
I know.
themselves.
Yeah.
It seems like a throwback
You
to
get
like
that
a
vibe,
50s
and
greaser kind of
that's
thing.
a solid observation. I'd
So,
say so.
it makes you wonder like how old these guys actually are.
Sure.
And just the way that they act, very adolescent. The way they party, the way that they speak,
Sure.
the way the crowd they hang out with. It just seems all very adolescent.
But to me, it's not so much adolescent. It's a more, let's say, a higher level of adolescence, if that even makes sense or if it even exists.
Maybe. And also, like, I think most of that gang was turned from that town. So, like, weren't a couple of those kids actually, like, grew up in that town?
If I recall correctly.
Like, I think
accurate.
that one with the curly hair, I think he was around...
Jason
like,
Patrick?
I don't know, not the main one, but the guy with the kind of curly hair. He's kind of a back character of the vampires.
He's a bad character?
Back. Like, he's
back
kind of a
character.
background character.
Oh, he was in Bill and Ted. He's the
Oh, yeah,
blonde.
what? Yeah, him.
Oh,
like him,
man.
for instance, don't they like? I could be way off base, but don't they kind of like bring up at some point that he's like used to be like very recently used to be human,
Like recently turned is what you're
like
referring
within
to.
10 years,
Correct.
right?
Like most
so,
recent.
So some of them are kids.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're still
Without
like
a doubt.
yeah. But I guess they part of how they were allured was that concept. Like he tries to bring to the main character's brother in the movie. What's the character's name?
In the movie?
The one who's being turned into a vampire.
Jason Patrick, that's the actor's name. I don't know the character's name.
Right. So Jason Patrick. Well, his character, I mean, that's kind of how they sell it to him, right? Like, hey, you can live forever and you can live like us. You can be one of us forever. And we're the cool kids. And you can be a cool kid too forever.
What a pitch, huh?
What a pitch. And with like Near Dark, I mean, he's kind of sold on, He's more sold on the girl. He more like wants to be with her than anything else. So he's kind of putting up with the rest of the bullshit.
And that's a solid mention. I'll tell you that it's also something that's reminiscent in many subgenre films. Is that the vampire or the lead vampire, what have you? He's a man on a mission. He's got there's depth. He's going after something. He's hungry for something, and you're always going to get that with a vampire film.
Okay. So, I mean, in the example of Near Dark, I mean, because he's not really like the lead. I mean, he's a human.
Right, but he's still after something, right?
Right, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's what I
thought you meant like by lead, because I mean,
No,
she would be
no.
the lead in that.
The lead has nothing to do with it. It's just the simple nature of desiring something, of just wanting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's just also interesting that they're looking for a cure, while as opposed to the rest of the gang has kind of accepted their place. That acceptance of being immortal, even if it is like an insanity of just killing people over and over again.
That's a good way to put it. It's an insanity.
Which, I mean, it makes sense. I would think once you outlast your expiration date to a certain point, like your view of mortality and of human beings and of food
is altered.
It's altered, yeah. Because, I mean, yeah, once again, like, I feel like this is somewhat relevant, and it'll probably come up again at some point, but like the Stalin quote, like, the death of one is a tragedy, the death of millions is a statistic.
Okay.
Right? When he's discussing war, how if you personally know someone and they die, it's upsetting. But if thousands of people get bombed,
if it's a mass,
nobody gives a shit. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
And that's kind of the concept that I think with vampirism, is that you're killing so many fucking people that at that point you just stop caring about people. But if you meet one individual and if you're connected to that one person, it might be harder to kill them. But as for what?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off there, because I have this thought fresh in my mind. Mm-hmm. So, in a nutshell, you're saying that, I guess, so what
the casualties. The victims are casualties.
So, but are you saying that they lack compassion?
I think, once again, once a number grows large enough, it becomes incomprehensible. And once it's incomprehensible, it's just no longer...
it's not even worth a mention.
That's why with serial killers, a lot of the time what they'll do is on the news, they'll have like a background, like kind of they'll walk you through the actual person who's kidnapped when they make their plea, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to humanize them. So you'll see like Katie was potentially abducted by a serial killer, or maybe they've released a video saying it's abducted, and then the local news will run like a thing on like Katie and her parents and her family and where she goes to school, and the whole point is to humanize her. So hopefully the serial killer will see her as a person instead of just another number. And that's kind of like with the vampires, is like they're at a certain point they're just eating food, but once they get to know somebody, it's a little bit more difficult for them to kill them.
Talk about a rather interesting perspective. I mean, yeah, that was spot on.
Yeah, it's a thought.
So,
spitballing here.
So moving on.
So you want to move on to Ecstasy?
Let's do it.
Okay. So sex, pleasure, pain, the difference between continuity and discontinuity.
We have such films as John Carpenter's Vampires. You have Kiss of the Damned. Mm-hmm. You've also got
Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes, From Dusk Till Dawn. Wow.
And Bordello of Blood.
I
didn't think we were even going to bring that one up, but here we go.
Hey,
here we are. Here we are.
All right. All right. What's it? All Engines Go or something?
Yeah.
What's
so you want to kick this one off?
I'll kick it off with a mention of Carpenter's Vampires. This is the type of film affair that just it's everything that a vampire film should be.
Okay.
The villain is threatening in a sense where, again, making a mention to the seduction aspect of their approach, the vampire's approach, So that plays into that. The villain is spectacular. That the actor portraying him was just as spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
The female opposite, the vampire. So the female that's being seduced by the lead vampire, the villain, she does a spectacular job as well, and she just falls into his trance, So I think that's a pretty good depiction of ecstasy, because obviously there's just a sexual tension there.
Right, right. And like Kiss of the Damned, for instance, I absolutely love that film. The color palette's amazing.
Oh man,
it's just a really pretty film. But it's got that kind of like almost paperback erotica kind of feel to certain scenes.
Okay,
like when the
you're speaking with respect to it being raunchy,
Heroes.
sort of.
Yeah,
like
the guy from
raunchy?
Heroes, what's his name? Guy who plays Peter. Anyway,
I can't recall his name for the life of me right
but
now.
like that scene where he finally gets in the house and he's handcuffing her to the bed because she's gonna vamp out, and he wants to have sex with her anyway. And she like starts to vamp out, and oh my god, what a sexy vampire! Holy shit! Wow. I'd say like that's like right up there with, I think, from Dusk Till Dawn 3. I think it was 3.
Wow.
Not the one that they were having the war at the police station, but the one that like I think it's prequel. But there's another actress that I can't remember her name. She has curly hair, beautiful eyes. But she's in that movie, and there's this scene where she's like down in like the catacombs, and she's behind like a cage kind of thing or whatever, like steel bars, and she's trying to lure her like husband in.
Okay.
And she starts to slowly vamp out. And like midway through, she's like got like translucent skin, like her eyes are like whatever color, and she just looks really pretty.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that's not probably what they were going for, but I was like, damn, that's
what drew you.
That is a vampire that I would. But yeah, but Kiss of the Damned definitely gets into like almost the S&M kind of like
territory.
Yeah, bondage. Pain, pleasure, it all kind of rolls together, especially in that scene.
It presents itself in a much darker light,
right? And then like things like Bordello of Blood, where it's like literally a fucking whorehouse.
I mean, quite literally a
whorehouse. And even like True Blood, where you got like the Fang Banger thing.
I'm sorry,
they like.
I missed you there.
What?
Fang Banger. What is this fang banger that you speak of?
Oh, what is that accent that you speak of? Anyway,
I'm still trying to find out.
Yeah, but
as soon as I know, I'll let you know.
The fang banger thing in True Blood, where like people who like to have sex with vampires, and they like to drink their blood, and they like to have their blood sucked, and they like the whole
experience,
the whole experience.
So you got Twihards and you got fang bangers.
Yeah, and then from Dusk Till Dawn, of course, like the main vampiress.
She's like a serpent.
Yeah. That's I mean, that's a whole cool thing in and itself. We'll get into that in a minute, but
yeah, sure.
Selma Hayek in the movie. And then the actress in the show is absolutely gorgeous. Okay. And of course Quentin Tarantino got to work in his foot fetish.
Oh, sure.
With
there you go.
The tequila down the leg of Salma Hayek into his mouth, actually. He was sucking her toes, wasn't he?
Isn't that something?
Yeah, he got to... Yeah, that's when you get to a certain point in fame and fortune that you get to, like, pick some of the hottest girls in Hollywood and...
You get to suck on toes for a living.
Whatever you want to do, baby. Whatever you want to do.
Hey, what do you do for a living? I suck on toes. What do you do?
Yeah, I make movies and I suck on toes in movies.
That's right. You know what I do? I make movies, suck on toes, and then I put my thumb. I do my thumb. I put it in my keister.
Oh, here we go. Big budget movies.
There you go.
With the toe sucking. Mm-hmm. But as a more general, wider view of Ecstasy, I love the concept of Ecstasy. Continuity is continuity. It's one of my like favorite things to talk about.
Is that right?
But the concept of Ecstasy also folding into immortality. The thought of the greater continuity and becoming almost a ripple of the greater continuity, but at the same time not becoming a discontinuous wave.
Okay.
So like you've somehow managed to ride both, that you can both live in the greater ocean of continuity. You can still be an independent wave, and you can be a discontinuous being, but you're an immortal discontinuous being. So you've kind of like had your cake and eat it too. You're living in this perpetual state of not necessarily zen, but removal from ego. At a certain point, and some of them become more creature-like. Some of them maintain more of humanity. But at a certain point, you lose that sense of ego unless you want it to be there, and you give yourself into pleasure, pain, and just carnal desire that is very reflective of just animal nature and just the nature of being. Reproducing, consuming. That's it. Killing,
Wow.
Consuming, reproducing. And that becomes a reflection of just the way that the universe exists, like life itself.
My goodness.
Like you've become part of the continuity.
I gotta tell you, I can now take my headphones, because, folks, for the listeners out there that may not take notice for obvious reasons, I'm currently wearing headphones. This is my first official recording with a set of headphones, so I'm adjusting to that. Okay? So bear with me. That I could just take these headphones, toss them in the trash,
Okay.
walk out of here at this point.
Get the fuck out.
Okay.
Why?
Because
Is that a mic drop? Like what's going on?
I had to do a mic drop for you.
You're gonna
I'm
do it
outta
for
here.
me? You're gonna take my mic and drop
I'm
it?
taking your mic and
This
I'm
costs
dropping
money,
it, pal.
man. This is
Huh?
we're trying to get a new microphone, let
I know,
alone
folks,
throwing this one away.
This is true. We're trying to get a new one, but I guess I'm just speaking, with respect to just wow, what a concept. I mean, that was poetry,
Oh, thank you.
That was good.
It's not my original idea.
ladies and gentlemen.
I tied it together by myself.
That's what I meant. That's what I was referring to.
We're not like continuity is continuity. Yeah, it's not my concept. But which is actually funny because when I first learned about that, it was with Alien was the movie that we were discussing.
Ooh, excellent.
So that was an interesting. But anyway, so that's my thought of that. I guess we can move into the disease and famine.
Sure.
So this is very reflective. I mean, like the concept of vampirism has been approached as a disease,
Sure.
as a sickness that spreads, and the idea of famine, the constant hunger for something that's not there.
Or simply something that is difficult to attain. Something that's not readily available. A meal that's not, accessible, like a fast food or what have you. Something you have to actually work for.
Fast food.
Fast food.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of
Or
like
Mexican.
a fast food vampire restaurant.
Imagine that.
Like a Taco Bell, like you roll up to
I
the
call
window.
dibs on it.
And they
call dibs on
just
it.
stick a person outside and you just chomp down.
But you choose to chomp down on their meal. As
Yeah,
opposed
you get to pick like the
human.
ethnicity or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'll take 2 Chinese and
Is that your vampire?
and one Native American. Do you have any of the Caucasian and Afro American mixes? Those are delicious.
You're like, yeah, you know what? Let me go ahead and get a side of Cuban, and
Get a side of
if I can
Cuban.
do Taiwanese. Is that Taiwanese?
Yeah, and then you can flavor him like,
know.
hey, can I get one of those Canadians that just strictly eats poutine all day? So
You have a
the
preference now.
poutine flavored Canadians, if
What?
you will.
What's poutine?
Poutine?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? You don't know
No.
what poutine is?
Oh, what the hell's
Have you ever
poutine?
been to Canada?
No, evidently not.
Jesus Christ. Poutine.
Wow.
Poutine.
Crucify me for not having
For
gone to
people,
Canada yet. in my
we have
existence.
we have a lot of Canadian listeners. so,
Canadians?
they'll
We
know
do.
They know what poutine is.
This is true.
Poutine
well,
is
educate me. That's why. So enlighten
Poutine
me.
is fries.
Okay.
French fries.
With mayo.
No.
Okay. Isn't that big out there? Or is that France? That's France. What? You don't like mayo? Who don't like mayo?
My
You
French
want
fries?
mayo?
I don't know. They probably think we eat some sick shit too.
No, I don't do
But
that.
anyway, so
couldn't ban
poutine,
me.
French fries with gravy
Ooh.
and cheese curds.
You did? You know, we had a discussion.
Yeah,
I recall.
we did.
Yeah, we did.
So I was talking about like a
That
southern
sounds
style
decent. Okay.
with a white gravy and cheese and then like pieces of fried chicken.
Okay.
That would be amazing.
Dude,
It's $1 million idea. Don't
is
you
a
fucking
really-
steal it from me, people. I had this idea. This is my fucking
There you
$1 million
are.
idea.
you just copyrighted the idea. We're copywriting as we speak. Listen to this. We just went so off topic. It was crazy. However, our customers, our listeners, I should say, customers.
Our viewers, our
customers.
our followers.
On the next,
our
the
cult
customer is
followers.
always right. Oh man, I gotta tell you, I was listening to the podcast and I really didn't get my money's worth. Anyway, hopefully next show's different.
Of the free podcast.
There you go, a free podcast.
Hey man, we gave them like 2 minutes of almost dead air like a half hour ago. So
Exactly. We owe it
if
to
they're
you.
still listening, Jesus fucking Christ, right? Thank you.
I
Thank you, because
know.
we dropped the ball hard there.
Seriously,
That was,
I'm
that
glad
was
you
a
made a mention
fumble.
to that. I'm glad you made a mention to that because, listen, we're human, and as we're doing this, you know, we're gonna fail at times. We may not sound as appealing, but we've got days like today where we're kind of we got it together and we're back in the fight. So fuck off.
I think you're not supposed to apologize. I think that's like one of the.
I know. I was
the
actually
rules.
thinking about that.
Yeah,
So,
I was like
am I
halfway through it. I'm
apologizing?
like, we're not supposed to
No,
apologize.
I'm not apologizing. I'm just
Okay.
saying deal with it, basically.
Deal with it, bitch.
Deal with it, bitch.
Get
Bitch.
on your knees and deal with this
Deal
shit.
with it.
Okay. Anyway, so disease. The strain
Yep.
is a cool example.
Del Toro.
Del Toro.
Del Toro.
Toro.
Del Toro. Del Toro. Del Toro.
Anyway, the strain.
Yes. The strain.
It's a cool concept. With the whole spreading, like
A virus.
I mean, it's a virus, but it's also what are they called?
Like an epidemic or.
No, the actual things themselves. Parasites.
Ooh. That's from a internal, much more internal standpoint. Parasites? That's like
Yeah,
under the skin,
yeah, so-
beneath the skin type deal.
Yeah, so I mean, they're parasites, man, and they like use your body as a host.
Talk about invasive.
That's how they spread. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a big part of horror. Also, is invasion
Oh,
of different
absolutely.
kinds, and
Figuratively,
invasion, yeah,
literally,
self,
definitely.
bodily, country,
Absolutely.
Just the idea of something invading your sense of self. And this is one of those, like, it turns you into one of those more zombie type
Sure.
vampires, like Stakeland. It's another perfect example of that. That it becomes a epidemic. It's more of a Stakeland's more of a zombie movie than it is a vampire movie.
Would you say it's a hybrid of the two?
Yeah, we discussed it last week because the helicopter thing.
That's right.
But that's another perfect example of the idea of viewing disease and sickness through a horror lens in a way that's kind of digestible. But this just happens to be a disease that helps you live forever instead of killing you. So that's a plus.
Yeah, I
Just
guess
killing
so.
all the people around you. But it's an interesting way to view, I guess, the lens of sickness and disease. I don't know. It's like I said, it's like a reversal instead of like cancer eating you alive. It's like the cancer eating everyone you know
Oh
and
yeah.
love.
I mean, talk about a change of pace, a shift in perspective. This is something that I don't feel has really been, I guess, approached within the subgenre. You know, this particular approach is unique.
How so? What do you mean with this approach?
The approach, as far as the vampires and the virus, the parasites and such.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was making light of, basically.
Okay.
Yeah,
And,
it's like because it I feel like it transcends what it means to be a vampire. It almost treads creature territory if it's a parasite. You know what I mean?
Right. So, and then, did you want to discuss the hunger?
Yeah, let me discuss that briefly. So another film that I feel really highlights beautifully what it is to be conflicted with regards to this particular theme is Hunger, starring Michael Fassbender, directed by Steve McQueen. And this is this is just Fassbender's performance alone. You have to watch the film. I mean, it's literal hunger, but it speaks volumes of what that figurative hunger feels like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's about drug addiction,
Right.
Like basically heroin addiction.
You know, it's just you're humanizing the whole thing, and it was a beautifully done.
Yeah, and that's something I wanted to discuss too. That's I guess more relevant to disease. What the fuck is that?
That's
I hope that picked up on the mic, so we're not just sounding crazy here.
So just in case you didn't hear that, or let's say okay, that sounded like we were in jail.
That was
like strange. A chamber door or something. You know.
Kind of
closing pretty much. Yeah, that was a little awkward.
Anyway,
I actually thought that was a soundbite. I thought that you had
no man.
That. I said
that was completely organic.
Yeah, I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah, once again, we record this podcast in the glorious studio that is my bedroom. Yes. And I don't know if anyone knows that.
An emphasis on glorious.
Glorious.
Yes.
Yes, it's like a little cubby hole.
It's cozy.
But I think we get good production out of it.
Listen.
I think it's good sound.
Quality.
It's good quality.
I'm feeling
quality,
it.
Baby.
I'm feeling it. All right.
Anyway, disease, man. This is something that I wanted to get into is the addiction thing. Which for you listeners out there who don't know me, I don't no longer partake. So that idea of addiction, it hits home. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you got this hunger for something, and in certain different series, like for instance, Angel from Buffy, or different characters, even in Supernatural, there's like a nest of vampires that are living off of animals or blood packets. Even Twilight, they're living off of deer. But the idea that you have this addiction to something, and that you know that if you indulge in it, it's gonna
ruin you.
But at the time, you love it when you're doing it, and in the midst of it, it's like the best thing ever.
It's drug-like.
Yeah, but then the aftermath is just
disastrous.
Destruction, right?
Disastrous. Let's be honest. I think,
I think that's an easy parallel to draw, and I feel like that's
absolutely.
I can almost see like a support group, like a vampire blood AA. Just
actually,
people sitting in
believe
a
it or not, I have here we go again. Since Case pretty much spilled the beans on a concept that he had earlier, I guess I'll go ahead and do the same. I have a concept that I was working on for a short story, perhaps. Excuse me, a short story, perhaps, regarding that very topic of a vampire having to go to like a self-help group, for he's just doing everything within his being to quit or just refrain from having to feed off of people, to feed on blood, to need blood, or to feel that he needs it. I think the reason why I'm drawn to that, the reason why I gravitate towards that concept, is attributed to the fact that it's very human-like. It's almost like an exaggerated version of what it is to be human, and yet not really, because of the fact that humans are like that. I mean,
so here's the thing, though, on what you brought up, which the verbiage I thought was funny.
What's that?
Was that you said remove the need.
Yeah, and
that's something in addiction. That's something you never remove. You never get rid of that.
Well, that's what I mean. They're attempting to remove.
They're not attempting to remove. In my opinion.
No, well, I'm just saying with respect to the story.
Right. But I'm saying like instead of attempting to remove the need, it's more of a manageability, like controlling it.
It's coping with the desire.
Coping with it, exactly, because you can't remove that. It's like it's like your sex drive. I mean, you can't just remove the need, the biological need to procreate.
I know what you mean.
Unless you were born without that. But
listen to this. It's basically like you're attempting to keep it dormant as long as possible, because this is essentially a beast, so to speak. a sleeping bear, if
Right.
you will.
And this is the funny thing also that they get into that's very related to addiction is in Buffy, and Angel, also in the series. Something that they discuss a lot is that because Angel has his soul returned to him, he has to live with all the things that he did while he was a vampire, like a monster without a soul.
Okay.
And that's kind of it's very reflective of sobriety, in that it's not just like stopping. It's not just you stop drinking. That's not what sobriety mainly is about. It's about you stop drinking, but then the rest of it is dealing with the damage you did. So
what's
they
very
say
reminiscent to that, and I don't mean to cut you off, is, for instance, someone having served time, let's say for decades, and then they're free,
right?
And then you're adjusting to that life. It's similar. What do you say?
And you have to go back on the damages. But yeah, they say that in sobriety, they say that like 10% is the drinking or the drugs, and then the other 90% is like everything else.
Just dealing with
just dealing with dealing with life,
managing
life on life's terms,
managing.
And that's what they kind of get into with Angel, is that now that he has a soul, it's not just like, oh, I shouldn't eat people anymore. It's like, okay, now I have to get this eating people under control.
Sure.
But at the same time,
which is hard enough as it is.
Yeah, but at the same time, now that I have my full cognitive abilities and functions, I have to deal with all of the regret and damage that I've done to people around me.
Which is heavy.
Which is, I mean, once again, it's a big thing with
heavy,
with sobriety, man. Like, a lot of people have really hurt their family. They've hurt their friends. Some people have killed people. Kill people in a bar fight, run somebody over, drunk driving.
It's point of no return type stuff.
Right, exactly, and that's something that that gets touched upon sometimes with the addiction aspect of vampirism, or like the first kill. Like, a lot of people have a lot of struggle with that first kill once they get introduced to the recklessness.
Right about that. Yeah, in most films, sure.
Yeah, like
they're conflicted.
Yeah, they know the repercussions. But they have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just interesting.
But moving on, I guess the overall theme here that really ties each and every one of these themes together. It's an affliction. Think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna get into religion because we still have to talk about that.
We sure do. So we'll go ahead and close this segment with religion.
Get into it.
Yep. So we got, of course, you have pieces like Dracula. Dracula, you can't make a mention to the vampire subgenre and not mention Dracula. Whether you're referring to Bela Lugosi Dracula, Christopher Lee Dracula, Gary Oldman Dracula, Blackula, it doesn't matter. Look, what's up, man?
I hope everyone saw that post on the Facebook.
Which one?
The count flying overhead. The fear and
the fear and loathing. Oh, solid reference.
That was pretty good.
Solid reference.
But anyway, yeah. So, talk to us about religion, man.
Okay, so it seems almost criminal not to use, a cross or a crucifix, in a vampire subgenre. Holy water. It almost seems wrong to exclude those elements. Mm-hmm. It becomes so synonymous with a vampire subgenre film. You can't execute one without them.
But why? What's the big why?
Well, because you've got there are undertones of a much more profound, I guess, battle between good and evil. You've got the vampire, which is said to derive or be derivative from hell, essentially. Mm-hmm. And then you've got, in most cases, in certain films, you'll have basically a man of the cloth, as they call it, or a priest or a reverend, and or an exorcist, what have you, and he's the hero or anti-hero, so to speak. So I think it just speaks to a deeper, just battle of good and evil, or between good and evil.
But there's got to be more connotation than that, right? There's got to be something deeper than just good and evil.
Well, Actually, it is. It's the internal evil, basically. That's what it is.
Like
you
sin?
know? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. You know, you talk about fighting the
Lust,
urge.
anger,
Oh, sure. Think of it this way.
Rage.
All that lifestyle, being a vampire, I would imagine it's a gateway. It's equivalent to a gateway to all of those things.
Gluttony.
It's an immediate gateway to all of those things. That's what it means. So when you ask, what's the connotation? How do you tie that together? That's
Just
how
a
you tie it
living
together.
embodiment of sin.
Oh, absolutely. All those things are associated with sin.
Yeah, so basically, the battle against sin is Christian repression.
Okay. All right. Well, look
We
at you.
need to repress this lust and this addiction and this hunger. We need to,
What are we doing with it?
I don't know, man. What are we doing with what?
The hunger that you're trying to repress. You said we need to, repress the hunger.
No, what do you mean? What do we do with it? We destroy it. We
No, I
destroy it
know.
absolutely.
It was a figurative.
We're talking about destroying sin.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But also, with religion, you got to discuss Buffy because, like, they actually are demons in that show.
Right.
So vampires,
Which is an
aren't-
interesting take. In
Yeah,
itself.
they're not just like a type of monster that's demonic. They are literally from
Demons,
hell.
sure.
Like they're actually demons. Am I quiet? Does this sound quiet?
No, you
I feel
sound
like
good.
I feel like I'm quiet right now.
Slightly.
Okay.
Maybe if you move, there you go.
I don't know what the fuck.
You just
Whoa,
went.
that's weird.
You went from Barry Manilow
Barry Manilow.
to Barry White.
Be Barry White, baby.
Barry White.
Very White, baby. Anyway,
Yes.
So yeah, they discuss like they're more demonic. Well, they are demonic
In
They're
nature
demons.
and physically, obviously.
Right. So I mean, I guess it makes sense in that they are literally like from hell.
Sure.
And that's why holy things would be used to fight them.
It's a holy war, so to speak. In a sense, you could say that.
Right. Although there's not a lot of the other side in things like Buffy. There's not a lot of
What's that?
God or angels or
No, not very. I mean, not
I feel like supernatural
nothing outside
gets
of a
into
crucifix.
that, but not,
yeah,
not
supernatural.
not as much
definitely.
Buffy.
A lot deeper.
And I feel like they probably get into that more. I don't know, but I feel like there's like a huge thing we're missing with that.
Of course. I mean,
And I think the listeners at home
sure.
should put us in our place and let us know why exactly religion is so. Oh, that's way better, right?
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let us know why religion is so important in
Sure.
this genre.
Sure.
So then you can hit us up on the Facebook, Twitter.
Please. Yeah, we definitely want to hear your feedback.
Send us over a humongous dissertation through email.
Sure.
Like a 50-page dissertation about
Please.
why we don't know what the fuck we're talking about and what religion and vampirism has to do with each other.
Yes, please do so.
Yes.
And, hey, be generous. Tell us, F off, whatever you feel.
Why do you always go to that? It's always like, hey, why don't you tell us to go fuck ourselves? That's like, it's not like, hey, tell us you love us, or like,
you know why?
give us constructive criticism. It's just straight to like, go
Just
fuck yourself.
tell us to go F ourselves.
Why do you keep
Listen.
saying F?
Because I got my style, you got yours. All right, back the fuck off. Is that what you want to hear? How you want to hear the fucking fuckwood? Huh?
Yeah.
All right.
F.
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 How about that fuck, all right?
Fucking language.
Because it's not like me. I don't.
And but
You know,
F,
the use of
man,
profanity,
don't do that. That's like the
I
Louis
did.
C.K. bit.
What was that?
Where he's like saying the
Okay.
N word.
I see
Where
what
like
you
now
mean.
you're making me say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you say the
Yeah.
F word, then I'm saying fuck in my head.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that takes everything off of you and puts it on me.
That's awesome.
Bullshit. That is
Well, deal with it.
bullshit.
Deal with it.
Big bada boom bullshit.
Well, put on your panties. Put
Big
your panties
boom.
back on and deal with
Big
it. kid.
bada boom, big boom.
Bada boom. Bing bomb.
Hey,
Anyway, yeah.
I only speak two languages.
What's that?
English and bad English.
Wow.
What's that a reference from?
Ooh.
Ooh.
You're
Fifth
he's putting
Element.
me on the spot. She didn't let me finish. Of course.
No, because
Bruce
you made
Willis?
a fucking reference
What's
the
that?
other day.
To what?
If you listen back to the podcast,
Let's hear it.
at the beginning of the podcast, you made a reference, and you said you would tell us at the end of the podcast what the reference was.
Now I can't remember what
and you
the
never did.
reference was.
You
Yeah.
never brought it. I listened
Hey.
back to that podcast.
You want to
and
know
was
what I got to say about
pissed.
that? You want to hear what I got to say about that?
What?
Boo. fucking who.
Oh, whatever. Anyway.
Yep.
God, I feel like
What's
the
that?
sound is just so
No,
fucked
you
up
had
right
it.
now.
It sounded.
Is
okay
it
a bit
in
ago.
and out, or is
No,
it
no,
just me?
you're consistent.
Maybe it's my headphones.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So, moving
that was
on.
weird. Okay, so we're about to launch into the next part.
So as we made a mention of the, I guess, more serious affairs, darker affairs, so to speak, within the vampire subgenre, it warrants a mention to the lighter affairs. You know, the more comedic affairs. You know,
The more comedic.
the more comedic, far more comedic, young man.
Blah,
Blah blah blah.
blah, blah, blah.
I was real quick. I have to make a mention to this. I think you were telling me about vampires are. It's just a dude. Oh no, I was talking to one of my friends, a dear friend,
A dear
a
friend.
dear,
A dear friend.
a dear friend,
dear friend. Wait, go
a
ahead.
dear friend.
All right, we're done with that.
So we're done. Little treat. So you know, having a discussion with a dear friend of mine regarding that very topic about Dracula and how it makes a reference to a Jerry Seinfeld joke about how a vampire or Dracula is just some dude in a tux. You know, what makes him so special. You know what I mean? And that's what I thought of right now.
Being
for
like
some
the
reason.
original, isn't that what makes him special?
What's that? Well, of course. I'm just saying it's funny. So a lot of these films make light of that. The fact that, you know, it's meant to be comedic, basically. It's
Yeah.
poking fun at itself, in
Yeah.
other words.
That's fair.
So
So, I guess some of the ones that were on the list, and we'll maybe bounce around back and forth. We got True Blood, Lost Boys, From Dusk Till Dawn, Buffy, Fright Night, What We Do in the Shadows.
sure.
Those are the main ones I think we're going to be touching base on.
Yeah. And I think an appropriate title to launch this discussion is What We Do in the Shadows.
Hey.
Okay. This is going to be a good one, I'll tell you.
Holy shit, I laughed my ass off.
I'll be honest. I can't recall the last time I just enjoyed a comedy. All right, and I'm talking just
Right.
flat comedy.
Right.
I'm not even mentioning the fact that it's a horror flick as well.
Right.
You know, that's what makes it special. You know, but anyway, just the dialogue, the personalities, because each vampire had a different personality. The film basically documents the life of a family of vampires. They're like a brood, right?
Nest.
A nest. Thank you. We made a. You're so proud of that. You're like, okay, child, honey, child.
That's not what I did.
No, that's not what you did. That's what I saw. So
Okay.
maybe my vision is, I don't know, distorted or something. Anyway. So yeah, the film itself just makes fun of. It's a parody of the vampire subgenre, and I love it.
Right.
There's a particular scene in the film where one of the characters is basically about to feed, right? So it's he invites this woman over, and they're having a good time, and he's got the wine for her and all this, and he just kind of gets to it. Forget the discussion, forget the foreplay, forget dinner. I'm just gonna go ahead and get to my meal. So part of his ritual is that he has to make sure everything is covered accordingly. To hint towards there being no mess, it being like just spot free.
Like American Psycho.
Exactly. What a reference. And I really enjoyed that. I thought that was hilarious. And then the victim is just sitting there like, okay. And I think he even helps the character or the vampire, kind of set up and stuff, not knowing what's going on. It's hilarious. So there are many scenes like that scene.
Yeah.
And if you really just want to laugh or get a good laugh, I mean, this is the film for you, wouldn't you say, Case?
Yeah. I also just focused extremely hard on your language, and you didn't swear once, you son of a bitch. Because I was going to say, we're werewolves, not swearwolves. Werewolves, not swearwolves.
Oh, yeah.
And your fucking ass didn't swear the entire time.
no.
That's why I was staring at you. I was waiting for you to cuss, and you didn't do it.
Erik 1, Casey 0.
Werewolves, not werewolves.
There you go.
I should just say that every time I cuss.
Just do it. Just do it.
Casey, werewolves, not werewolves.
You know what? This is what we're doing. We're putting a nickel in a jar every time you swear. I guarantee you, by the end of this podcast, we'll have enough to go to dinner. Huh?
Buy a new microphone?
Exactly. So keep swearing, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, back
Werewolves,
to
not
the
werewolves.
matter at hand here.
That's a good one. I love the Nosferatu type character. He's kind of funny.
Oh, he was hilarious.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I don't really want to reveal too much because there's a particular scene that makes light and also
Didn't
reference.
we say at the beginning of the podcast that there's going to be spoilers?
We sure did, which means what?
Which means we'll just talk about it.
All right.
Didn't
so
you say that
basically-
somebody complained that we don't talk enough about scenes?
This is true.
Oh, here we go.
Well, here we
This is
go.
where we're at.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great, Case. Thanks, asshole. Anyway, so he liked
That's what I do.
That's what he does.
That's what I
I
do.
cursed.
That's what I do.
You got me to curse, you bastard.
werewolves, not swearwolves.
There you go. Anyway, where were we? Talking about...
This one scene with the Nosferatu thing?
yes. So, in a nutshell, he pretty much burns alive.
Yeah.
All right. And
Which I was pissed because that's when I took a piss.
What's that?
That's when I went to the bathroom in the movie.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I was pissed.
Okay. Ooh.
Literally
Quite literally.
pissed.
Yeah. So there are many scenes like that. I just, watch the film. I mean, I'm kind of drawing a blank here, but there's so much more to the scenes that I described, basically, and it's also in the vein of, let's say, a Mel Brooks type film, like a Young Frankenstein, or perhaps even Spaceballs, to that degree, or even
isn't it the Fly of the Conchords guys?
correct. The creators of this show, they co-wrote and also directed the film.
It's one of those funny examples where, like, I don't like that show, but I like the movie. Same with Community. I didn't like Community, but I love Rick and Morty.
Okay, yeah,
I don't know. Same
I
people.
can see that.
Just,
I can see that.
Or Office and Parks and Recreation.
Oh, Parks and
Rec.
Recreation. Yeah.
I love Office. Parks and Rec I can't get into.
Yeah, you know what? It's for a different palette altogether.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think it's the same humor.
Sorta, but
I think
like
the
Parks
characters
and
are
Rec
just a lot
and
dumber in
Office
Parks
are
and
like
Rec.
night and day. I feel.
I don't know. I feel like they, like I said, they just had smarter characters in The Office.
I could say
I feel
that.
like they didn't try so hard to be slapstick.
I can vouch for that.
It got slapstickier,
Towards
but
the end, yeah,
stickier.
But
So
yes.
and then I mean, there's some movies that are like Fright Nights, and to a point, things like True Blood. That it's lighter and it's kind of sticky, but
Sure.
it's not necessarily trying to
Okay.
be. I mean, at points it's self-aware, but
I
not.
think, yeah, and you're right. I mean, the one thing that I like about that is comedy within the vampire subgenre. It just works. Just the concept of a blood-sucking human.
Yeah.
There's a sense of there's like a comedic aspect to that.
And you get like a built-in joke.
Yeah.
This movie sucks.
Oh, really? This movie
This movie
really sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I was gonna make a joke about True Blood sucking. I liked until the end. The last 3 seasons.
Alan
sucked.
Ball is the creator of that show. He did 6 Feet Under.
That's one of those shows that really should like Weeds. They should have put a bullet in it like a few seasons
After
before.
exactly, yeah, that's a
Californication, man. After season
observation.
1, they probably should have put a bullet
I can't say that
in that
I
motherfucker.
I have yet to see it.
No. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then even like Buffy it's that happy balance of like it's fun,
Sure.
it's funny, but then it has like some legitimate like
Humor or seriousness rather.
yeah,
dark
drama
tones,
and
yeah.
like even a little actual horror.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most famous episodes, which I was
think I know
discussing with my friend Emily, is Hush.
Oh, of course.
It's not a vampire episode.
No.
But the floating things
Yeah.
with your heads moving around.
It's actually
smile.
it's a nod to Dark City.
Yeah, I caught that when I
Alex
watched it.
Proyas.
Yeah.
Who did The Crow?
Yeah.
All right. He did Dark City.
Was it a purposeful nod? Because I feel like I caught
It was.
that, but it
I
was.
think so. It was. It certainly was. But I feel that the characters in Hush I mean, they were just slightly different, just in the way that they carried themselves. And of course, the aspect of not being able to speak.
Carried themselves because they floated.
Carried themselves figuratively, good sir. Do I have to? Should I have cue cards?
They floated.
Huh?
They floated. They literally were carrying.
Oh yeah,
themselves.
I thought you were like making a mention. Like, why did you say that? Yeah, you had that face.
It was a pun.
Yes. I'm like,
Talking about.
I got my inhaler over here.
Talking
I'm
about
like,
dead air, right?
I know,
Just staring at each other.
It's appropriate.
Anyway,
that was great. That was like the ultimate stare off. It was just like a. That's exactly how it was.
That's why
It was
we
just
need like
kinda,
a video podcast.
We do.
But anyway,
very soon though. But yeah,
hush, yeah, man, that was a really good episode. But
good reference though.
In general, same with like From Dusk Till Dawn, more so the series than the movie, has that like it takes itself seriously when it wants to, and then it doesn't when it doesn't want it to. Okay, like it can be either, basically. It can be. I feel like From Dusk Till Dawn 2 was a little bit more serious than it needed to be. If I'm getting these right, I'm pretty sure 2 is the one where they leave the bordello and they like and they're hunting outside. And I think
Richard Patrick was in that, right?
I don't know. And I think 3, I believe, was the one with that actress that I was discussing earlier. Okay.
I'll have to look that up.
Fucking, we have Google. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about Lost Boys, and we'll jump back into From Dusk Till Dawn in a minute.
Well, you got a film like Lost Boys, all right? 87 or 88, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. 87, actually. And this is a film directed by Joel Schumacher, who did, what was it? Falling Down with Douglas. What's his name? Can't even think of his name right now. Gosh.
Fucking this one up.
I totally am. Anyway, you've got so he's done such works as that. He's actually responsible for butchering the Batman franchise. Batman and Robin, Batman Forever.
For butchering.
Yeah, totally. So the nipples, George Clooney with nipples on the Batsuit.
Here we go. Yeah. Rebecca Gayheart is her name.
Ooh, okay.
She, oh my God, she's a looker.
She's beautiful.
I love her.
So back to
she was in Jawbreaker. That was a good movie. And Urban Legend. I remember her from Urban Legend.
Okay, yeah, she's probably synonymous with that film.
She was in Scream 2. She's a lot of horror movies.
Where was I?
You're talking about bat nipples. Yeah, I want to put that in. I want to put that in reference.
Hashtag bat nipples.
Yeah, you were rambling on about bat nipples while I'm trying to look this shit up.
I was making.
You're supposed to be talking about Lost Boys.
Listen, I'm making a transition. Wow, someone's a little impatient. Anyway,
you asked me where you were, and you were talking about bat nipples. So I mean,
okay,
what do you want from me?
Exactly. So yes, bat nipples, as Casey mentioned. Mm-hmm. The films of Schumacher, some of them are spot on. Falling Down was spot on. I mean, Lost Boys was, in my opinion and observation, spot on for many reasons. You got the reason one being, the villain, the main villain, the older gentleman, and just to.
That's her as a vampire. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh wow, okay.
It's pretty sexy, right?
Yeah, I
hit it.
You'd hit it, eh?
I hit it. It is 3, by the way. Hangman's Daughter. That's 3.
Okay.
From Dusk Till Dawn. Anyway, so yeah, go back to Lost Boys. Sorry, I just want to show you that picture.
No, cool. So basically, in a nutshell, I mean, this film has it all. You got a main villain who's menacing yet subtle in his approach. He's not like aggressive or it's just a very subtle, almost like to seduce you.
You know what I really liked about that movie?
What's that?
It's like a cartoon until the scene where they're all around that fire and they start tearing those people to pieces.
Oh yeah.
And like once they like get to the point where they scalp that guy, then it's no longer a cartoon.
No, I mean it treads darker territory, much darker than it ever, I guess, tried to be. But you're right. It starts off sort of kind of lighthearted and kind of, you got...
It's corny. It's cheesy.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, they go to a comic book store to figure out how to kill vampires.
Right. But this is the thing. So that's what makes the film so good, is the fact that that's That's essential 80s horror right there, you
Right.
know? And I think it does it rather well. You've got Kiefer Sutherland, all right, as David, like the lead, like henchman, right, so to speak, to the elder vampire. I mean, talk about first off, intimidating, quite intimidating.
And the Corys. Yeah, you gotta mention.
Oh,
the
come
Corys.
on, man. Corey Feldman, the late, great Corey Haim. How can you not?
Gotta mention the Corys.
You know, they were great together, really. Just so enjoyable to just witness.
And then there was the sequel eventually.
You know what? I'm gonna leave that. That's in your hands.
Smiling.
If you want to make a mention
I
to the
don't
sequel,
care.
we'll do it.
I
but
kind of want to get into From Dusk Till Dawn, actually. But
how about this? So we'll finish off this by at least discussing Lost Boys. I mean, aside from it being just a quintessential 80s horror film, just by far, I would say top 5 vampire films of all time.
Yeah, and I mean the reason why I don't feel I'm not trying to skim over it, but I feel like we have touched Lost Boys quite a bit.
But you know, if you want to walk,
podcasts,
I think so. You know, just real quick to make a mention to the one scene where they're all in their nest, so to speak, and they're asleep, and you know, they're trying to kill the one vampire, and
it's very nesty.
Oh man. Yeah, that's like
They're like hanging upside down and shit.
Definitely. You know, remember the scene where they're by the train tracks and all that. Even the maggots. Remember the maggots?
Just let go.
Exactly. Oh man, you bringing me back, boy.
Yeah, the train.
So, moving on.
So From Dusk Till Dawn, which I personally believe the TV show has definitely surpassed the movie at this point.
You know, you've made a mention to it more than once, and I'm sold. I mean, I'd like to check it out.
There's
where can our listeners catch
season 1's on Netflix? Season 2 is right now playing on El Rey.
Very nice.
Which is Del Toro's station?
No, that's Robert Rodriguez.
Rodriguez's station. That's
Rodriguez.
I knew it was some Hispanic.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yes.
So the cool thing about the series is that the main actor who plays is George Clooney's character, the Gecko brothers.
Sure.
The guy who plays what's Robert whatever.
Rodriguez.
No. I'm talking about the Gecko names.
Oh,
the two Gecko brothers.
Oh gosh, I want to say Sully for some reason, but I could be wrong.
No. But anyway, the guy who plays George Clooney's Gecko brother in the TV series, it's hilarious because when you watch it in the lens of him being George Clooney's character, he does an almost impeccable George Clooney impression.
You're serious?
He's like a younger George Clooney. It's pretty funny to watch.
You literally just drew people in. I mean, either you love George Clooney or you hate the guy.
No, he gets like the mannerisms and the facial expressions. He even looks kind of like George Clooney.
Is that right?
It's really funny to watch.
Wow.
The other Gecko brother, though, is so fundamentally and dynamically different than Quentin Tarantino in all the best possible ways.
How so?
Because I didn't like Tarantino in that movie very much.
What do you mean?
I don't know. He was...
I actually think it's one of his better performances, honestly. And he has a considerable amount of screen time. I mean probably equal to that of George Clooney, I'd say.
No, because he dies
well,
in the
for
bar.
the most part, then more than half of the film, absolutely.
I feel like he dies pretty early.
Well, how about this?
He dies at the beginning of the battle.
It's more screen time than It's more screen time than Tarantino's
usually
been accustomed to.
Right. But in the series, as opposed, he's a running character and he doesn't get killed off.
Is that right? So they keep him alive.
Yes. So he's actually a character.
That's a good spoiler alert.
No, he's. They actually like, and as a character, he is both more crazy and more down to earth.
Is that right?
Which is cool. Like he, his psychotic breaks are actually visualized in the series, so you can actually see what he's seeing, and you get why he's acting so nuts.
So it's more in depth, basically.
Right.
More in depth look.
You understand that in the series he's not just fucking like crazy for the sake of crazy.
Sure.
In the series he's actually like going through a breakdown. Because he's being called by the vampires.
Summoned, so to speak.
Yeah. So he's seeing vampire shit. And
wow.
He's seeing all this crazy shit. And
I can really...
And he's not as much as a child molester. He's not a fucking child molester in the show, which is great. He's not like a
that was an aspect that always kind of threw me off. It threw me off, to be honest.
They cut that in the series.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is good because the character is a lot more likable in the series.
Right.
And you couldn't do it. Although the girl who plays the younger daughter, because they have the same characters.
Juliette Lewis's character?
Yeah, Juliette Lewis's character. First of all, far surpasses Juliette Lewis because I don't really like her very much anyway.
Really?
But second of all,
I enjoy her work.
The actress...
have you seen Cape Fear? Robert De Niro.
At some point,
one of his finer performances.
But the actress in the show,
Juliette Lewis,
when they were shooting it, was about 16 or 17. So she actually is underage.
Oh, wow.
When they were shooting, which is adds to the realism because Juliette Lewis doesn't look like a kid.
Well, it's not so much that she was meant to look like a kid. She was just meant to personify
she was
that
supposed
innocence.
to be like. No, I think she was supposed to be like a
teenager. Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't look like a.
You don't think so?
No, she looked like she was like early 20s.
Well, that's the 90s for you. You know, they didn't really do a good job of depicting what a teenager should be.
This one,
like.
she looks like a teenager,
Like
really cute teenager.
Yeah,
and she is 18 by the second season.
Okay,
although she does put on a little bit of chub. But
look at you.
The only reference they really make is like she's getting out of the pool, and the Gecko brother is there. The Quentin Tarantino type Gecko brother is there watching her get out of the pool. And it kind of looks like he's hitting on her, which is, I don't know. I think that was part of the whole thing.
Sure.
I think it was part of like the trap they were setting. I don't really remember.
Okay.
Super cute girl though.
Is that right?
Super cute. And I can say that now because she's legal.
There you are. So that makes it appropriate.
But no, I mean, like, obviously, and this throws back to that conversation we had in a previous podcast where, like, she's obviously heavily sexualized in that scene. Like, when she's swimming in the pool and she comes out of the pool, like, the whole point is, like, she is being viewed as a sexual object. And the actress is, like, 16 or 17 when it was being shot.
Right.
But at the same time, like, the lens you're supposed to view it through is that she is sexualized.
Oh,
even
absolutely.
though she's very
Heavily.
repressed in the show, she's like this Christian repressed girl.
Okay.
So it's funny, another culture thing where like you're like viewing it and you're like, oh, she's cute, and then you're like, oh, but she's illegal.
Sure.
But that's kind of the point.
Right.
I don't know. It's one of those things.
I think that definitely gives into part of their angle. You know, I think it's a good chunk of the angle.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And I mean, if you're trying to push discomfort, right?
That's
a horror.
Exactly what they're trying to do. I mean, exactly. Yeah.
But the other thing I love, and they explore this a lot in the series, a little bit in the movie, a lot in the series, is that the vampires are reptilian as opposed to.
I did enjoy that.
Instead of bats, they're snakes.
I like that,
which is really cool. And like the fangs in the TV show, are actual like
reminiscent to that of the fangs of a snake.
Yeah, like it's not even reminiscent; they are. Snake.
Is that right?
Like they have like a thing kind of come down. They don't have teeth anymore. They just have the.
That seems far more menacing and terrifying.
Yeah, and they get scaly.
Okay.
Like their face gets scaly.
So
and
literally, like as you mentioned,
they turn
a
into
reptilian being.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So face and then and there's this amazing part where he was talking. One of the characters in season 1's talking to this guy and talking about like flavors and like blood.
Okay.
And how like every different blood tastes like a different flavor.
Oh wow!
And like he's like, this tastes like, you know, it can taste like cherry, it can taste like orange, blah blah blah. And he bites the guy, and he like kind of sits there and he's like, yeah, cherry lime.
Sure.
I'm like, he tastes like the blood tastes like cherry lime. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
that everybody has a different flavor.
Or they basically associate different types of blood to. Different.
Which actually, funny enough, was what got me into drinking cherry lime.
Is that right?
Now, like when I get Italian sodas at coffee shops, I'll get like cherry lime, and it's fucking delicious.
The beauties of product placement, right?
Well, it's not a product; it's just the flavor.
Right, but it's synonymous with what? Cherry Coke, right?
No. Cherry lime.
Cherry lime is what?
Like Italian. Have you ever had an Italian soda?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just like. Bubbly water.
I see.
Cherry. Lime.
It's actually a lot more tart, right?
I mean, it's
most of them
it's cherry syrup.
Sure.
And then lime syrup.
Yeah, but the lime, there's an acidity that's.
Yeah, it tastes like lime.
Right.
Like kind of. I mean, like the way that like sugary lime drinks
Sure.
taste like lime, or the way that purple tastes like purple.
That's yeah.
Yeah, isn't it funny that we've all like collectively as a society agreed on synesthesia,
How so?
like for our beverages? You know what synesthesia is, right?
Of course. You want to go ahead and explain it to the listeners that may not know what that is?
Okay, it's basically when you associate certain senses with other senses. So in this in what I'm discussing now is that like when most people see purple
Sure.
and they see a liquid, they have a taste in their mouth of what
Purple could be, or
purple's supposed to taste like grape. But grape soda and grape drink doesn't taste like grapes. It tastes like this purple concoction that's supposed to taste like grape. So in actuality, it just tastes like purple. So you see purple and you know the taste of purple, but it's not grape. It's like grape-like, but not grape.
No, grapes don't even taste like that. I mean, that's absurd.
So once again, we've collectively acknowledged as a society
Sure.
that
Collectively is a word.
that that green tastes like apple, or apple is green.
No.
Cherry is red.
Sure.
And purple's grape.
And vampires like blood.
And vampires like
What
blood.
a segue.
That tastes like cherry lime.
That tastes like cherry lime.
That tastes like cherry
You
lime.
brought it home, pal.
Chicka cherry cola.
Chicka cherry cola.
What band?
Don't do this to me.
Cherry cola.
I don't know.
Savage
LFO?
Garden. Savage Garden, bro.
Savage Garden.
Savage Garden.
What a reference to make on the Gory Details horror
Yeah,
show.
my sister used to have that
Savage
album.
Garden. Is that
Yeah.
right?
They have a song called "Break Me, Shake Me" that I thought would
How
be a
about
good
this?
cover.
Maybe, and I'm being absolutely serious here.
Mm-hmm.
If we're fortunate enough to call one of the members of Savage Garden a listener, if you're listening right now,
You really think that would happen?
give us permission to play one of your songs.
Yeah. Speaking
We'll
of
do
giving
it.
us permission, man, thank
Yeah.
you to Stellar Corpses.
Yes.
We're gonna be dropping that track at the
Oh
end.
man,
of the
we're so
podcast.
stoked for that. I
I
mean,
can't believe, man, that was so nice. We reached out and
they
boom,
were-
they're like, yeah,
yeah, man. I mean, right on.
yeah, man.
Right on.
'Cause I was like, I love you, motherfuckers, and they're like,
I'll tell you,
cool.
just as much- exactly.
thumbs up,
Thumbs way up.
thumbs up. Thank you.
As much as we love the track that we're going to be playing for you shortly,
Love that song.
we're pretty certain that you guys are going to love it too. So again,
Yeah, stick
Stellar
around.
Corpses,
Stick around for that.
Wow.
I mean, shit. Like the response we've been like, we got the okay from the Brains
Yeah.
versus me.
This has been
Stellar
great.
Corpses.
It's been really cool,
This has
man.
been wonderful.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so I did want to discuss, of course, Buffy. Both
us
the
about
movie
Buffy.
and the show.
What do you consider the more superior rendition of that concept?
Dude, I mean, the show went on for like 8 seasons, didn't it?
So that's not even
it
a
eight-
question, is what
was it
you're
8
saying.
seasons?
I think about
Because I know they like canceled it and then they brought it back.
they brought it back.
But
They actually brought it back in comic book form, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, at the end, I actually have the first couple issues
Wow.
of the comic.
That's
it gets
cool.
a little off the rails.
Is that the right way to put it?
What?
Off the rails?
Yeah, and they even call them, I believe they call them episodes or seasons or whatever.
Episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Talking about Buffy, tell us a little bit about, I guess, what that particular franchise means to you. Not so much what it meant to you, because, it's still, as far as I know, it still exists, man.
still one of the best shows ever
yeah,
made.
it's still relevant, is what I meant to say. So, what does it mean to you?
So first, like, I want to give the movie props because, in its own respect, the movie was a phenomenal movie. It's very fun
also,
to watch.
Oh, fun, and you want to talk about really utilizing that comedic tone? I mean, they do it perfectly.
Yeah. So if you can separate the two, because I feel like comparing the two is apples and oranges.
Oh, definitely.
Same name, same character, not the same thing.
Joss Whedon. I mean, the guy, Wow.
For those of you who don't know who Joss Whedon is, for some reason, he did the last few Avengers movies. He's become, I don't know, with horror. I mean, Cabin in the Woods,
Okay, which was just what a treat that was. We'll have to reference that title.
Firefly, Angel, Dollhouse.
Come on, Dollhouse.
The guy's all over the map.
He's all
But he
over
has
the
a
map,
very
but he's-
strong tone.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, for me, I believe he helped to establish the tone of the current Marvel universe in film.
Okay. With the Avengers you're referring to.
Yeah, like after his Marvel films, I feel like all of the other Marvel films that were made post still had that sense of humor that he brought to the Avengers.
Sure.
Like before, it was a little more serious.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it had that tongue-in-cheek, prod you on the shoulder, sarcastic wink and a smile.
Which is always nice to see because, I'll tell you, watching a superhero, genre film, right? Mm-hmm. Or a comic genre film, however you want to refer to it as. Mm-hmm. It can get somewhat repetitive quite quickly.
Yeah.
And
he kind of almost breaks the fourth wall and that kind of...
And you have to really admire that. Thing.
Yeah. And he does that in Buffy. I was actually discussing with a friend of mine last night that episode of Buffy where like it's near the end and all the Slayers have come. Buffy's summoned all the Slayers, and this one character has like a camcorder. And he's like recording, and it's a very meta episode. And there's a point where she's like giving this big like hoorah speech.
Buffy?
Yeah, and he's just like turns the camera and he's like blah blah blah. Like she does this all the time now, like kind of a thing.
Right.
Where it's like just so self-aware that she gives so many speeches that like the character even is like she gives all these speeches, blah blah blah, kind of a thing.
Like mocking her. Almost.
Yeah. Which is funny, but and integral for the vampire genre. I mean, like,
sure.
It's one of the most famous TV shows ever made. It's one of the most beloved TV shows ever made. And people almost forget it. It is in its heart, a vampire.
It's a horror show. I mean, it's rooted in horror, and
in vampirism.
Yeah, for sure.
She's called Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Correct.
No, she goes off on demons forever.
Sure, they do demons, and they also do other types of creatures. They almost had a creature of the week type deal.
They did,
which you really didn't see since the days of X-Files. Chris Carter's contribution to the mystery sci-fi genre. The films are. In their own right, good, but the show in itself also was reminiscent of what Buffy did.
Right, and Angel and even like Supernatural is very creature of the week.
Definitely.
That kind of
thing. Huge fan of that whole concept there.
Yeah, God, Supernatural is one of those shows that I'm powering through it. Just whenever I'm bored, I throw it on.
Is that right?
But it's one of those shows that has everything that I like. It has classic rock.
Sure.
It has like all these different various monsters,
right?
War of Heaven and Hell, really cool badass creatures,
sure.
And something about the tone, I can't like solidly recommend it.
Okay,
like for me, it's casual viewing. Like I said, I'll throw it on, I'll check my Twitter, I'll do whatever, or our Twitter, the Gory Details Twitter. It's the only Twitter I really use. But I'll do stuff in the background, check my Facebook, whatever the hell. But I just never hit that like full chord. It just got too enraptured in being a creature. I feel like creature of the week. I feel like they kind of like ran out of shit. Like they have like an overarching idea for the season and they just kind of like work it in because it's not a big enough arc that they just work it in slowly. I
feel that this is a show that overstayed its welcome.
Yeah. And they kind of like with Buffy that they there were so many masters and there were so many, and that's part of what's funny about Buffy is that like they at like near the end they get to the point where like we've been through like 4 apocalypses.
Sure.
And like they even joke about it, like we've been through so many fucking apocalypses.
Right. Like, it's almost making a nod to the lack of creativity, perhaps, or to the writers, because maybe it's kind of like saying, "All right, guys," it's almost like
how many apocalypses, right? And then like that one was supposed to be the last apocalypse, and then like the ultimate joke is that it continued in the comic book form.
I see.
So the ultimate apocalypse that ended the show was not the fucking end.
Oh,
it ended Sunnydale,
okay,
which was left a crater.
Is that right?
Do you remember it? Last episode?
Vaguely.
It sinks into the ground.
Oh, that's true.
Yep.
Actually,
fuck off, Sunnydale.
That really that tripped me out.
Really funny thing. Right there, there should be a comic. It's kind of gray and black.
What's it called?
Oh man, I can't see. It's something grave or something.
Graveyard Shift.
Yep, that's it. So I wanted to show you really cool. For those at home, obviously can't see. There's this comic that I read recently called Graveyard Shift, which is a kind of a one-off vampire comic. It's good. I like it. It's good.
What is it reminiscent of?
This you'll get a kick out of.
Okay.
Go ahead and read that for the audience.
All right, so I'm basically looking at, I guess, a page here, a scene from the graphic novel, the comic. It's a Cadillac, basically, driving through a highway, and the signage actually makes a mention to Sunnydale.
No, read all of them.
Jerusalem's Lot, Santa Carla, Collins Sports, Sunnydale.
You know what those are, right?
Those are all references to other
vampire
pieces.
movies.
Yeah.
Santa Carla's Lost Boys.
Yep.
Jerusalem's, I think, a Throw to Salem's Lot.
Correct.
And Collins Sport is that Friday night? What is that?
I want to say it's Fright Night, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so these are all, and Sunnydale's the bottom.
That's
excellent. So they actually make references to all these things. So, I think that kind of wraps it up.
Yeah, that pretty much concludes every, topic that we wanted to cover.
If you have anything you want to talk to us about, go ahead and, talk to us on Facebook. Post something on our wall, send us a message.
We got we do
have
a
on
Gmail
Twitter
account.
at
We have Twitter.
Yeah, at Gory Details HS.
That's right.
The Gory Details Horror Show at gmail.com.
Correct.
If you want to go ahead and send us an email.
Please do so.
We
look forward to
about
it.
them vampires, yo.
Okay,
so next we have an installment of WOLF Action News. And then we're going to be throwing to an amazing song that is topical.
Stellar Corpses.
Kiss.
What an appropriate track.
By Stellar Corpses. Yes.
Indeed.
Okay. So here is WLF Action News. Hello, and welcome to WOLF Action News. Welcome and good evening. I'm Hail the Mayor.
And I'm Patrick Bateman.
Here are tonight's top stories.
Witnesses in South Lawndale area of Chicago have reported numerous encounters with a 16-foot tall figure dressed in black. It's stated that it was seen wandering through the neighborhood. It's advised that you keep children and guinea pigs indoors at all times.
Also, a haunted water cooler in a small real estate office in Franklin, Tennessee, seems to have taken over. By drinking the water from the cooler, real estate agents have become possessed and are selling houses to people at stupid low prices, dirt cheap. So if you want to buy real estate, Franklin, Tennessee is the place to go now. 2 realtors so far have disappeared, and the only thing remaining are their red jackets.
That's an interesting account. Several reports hailing from uptown Edgewater state that riots have broken loose. It's reported that a podcast by the name of, quote, The Gory Details Horror Show, quote, was seen as the main influence behind the act. Rioters were seen using prosthetic limbs to assault bystanders. The rioters are said to be 4 foot tall and slowly turning into infectious slugs.
That's fascinating. Jefferson Road in Englewood, Ohio, apparently will not end. Do not drive on this road. Those who have traveled down this road are stuck in an endless loop. That is tonight's top stories for WOLF Action News. The mayor has wanted us to remind you that the 8-foot tall and 16-foot tall figures that have been lurking through the city are to be left alone. Do not speak to them. Do not acknowledge them. Do not feed them. Do not do any.
Look at them.
Do not look at them.
Do not think of them.
Do not think of them.
Do
Actually,
not laugh at them.
they don't exist.
No.
Completely don't
No.
exist. The mayor wants to remind you that everything you have heard for the last minute, you have not heard.
In fact, it never happened.
None of this happened.
In fact, you never happened.
This is not happening right now.
In fact, forget that it ever happened.
You do not exist.
In fact, you never existed.
Ever.
Ever.
Remember, if it bleeds, it leads. Unless it bleeds too much, then it dies. Good evening. All right, ladies and ghouls. Thank you for listening in to the Gory Details Horror Show. We went over the vampire.
That was
genre
great.
For part
You look
two
like you were
Vampire Swamp.
transforming.
I was transforming.
Yeah, that was
I am
great.
transforming. I am transformed. I am something new. I am something great.
That was hilarious.
Anyway,
That was so good.
so
good.
for our hashtag Ghost Radio tonight, we are throwing to a wonderful band, a wonderful psychobilly band that has all kinds of horror references, from the Evil Dead to what we're about to throw to you, vampires.
Vampires.
This is the song Vampire Kiss
By the Stellar Corpses.
off of Dead Stars Drive-In. Stay tuned, folks, and catch us next week.